So let's talk about risk profile. In other words, what is a risk profile? And the easiest way that I know to relay that is your risk profile is basically the amount of risk that you're willing to take. But more closely defined is not just the return that you want to achieve, but what amount of risk are you willing to take to try to get that return? Because too many times, as humans, and myself included, we want to get the maximum return, but what good is trying to get the maximum return out there if you're just going to bail because it's too volatile and you can't stand the risk appetite of the investment? And I wanted to just give a quick example. If our clients come to us and they say, over the next 20 years, on my collection of investments that I have with you, that I have in my 401k, I want to average 12% a year because that's what I've heard online that is achievable from experts. And my first response is, which 20-year period? Because there are 20-year periods even in recent history where the indexes only average, say, 7%, not 12. So the first thing I ask is, which 20-year period are we talking about? Because that's going to have a bearing on that. But all things considered equal, if I tell you to get a 12% average annualized return over the next 20 to 30 years, you need to be willing to tolerate one or two 30 to 50% hypothetical downturns during that investing lifetime. Are you going to be able to live with that? If the answer is I think so, or yes, maybe you can shoot to try to achieve that return. But if we're talking about your risk profile and you say, I can only live with 10 to 15% temporary loss in my investment portfolio, then probably a 4 to 5% average return over a 20 to 30 year period is what you're realistically going to be able to achieve. Or if you say, I could tolerate a 25% drawdown if it was temporary in my portfolio, then maybe we can shoot for an 8 to 9% average return. Of course, all hypotheticals, but the point being is it is absolutely imperative in one's investing lifetime to choose something you can live with. Picking an arbitrary return number isn't going to work. It's not going to work out well for an investor because it comes with a certain risk profile that they may not be willing to accept. So I think one of the most important things is choosing a risk profile that you're comfortable with, a target return that may be doable within that risk profile, but then you got to, whatever you choose, you got to remain unshakable. The only way that you're going to see your targeted return is if you live with your risk profile and you remain unshakable no matter what's going on around you. So choose wisely. Don't try to overshoot your return and take too much risk that you're not going to be comfortable with because it doesn't have a good outcome.